Welcome to This Week in Auburn Sports. I'm sports editor Will Gaines. That's assistant sports editor Justin Ferguson. Tigers went on the road last week, picked up their 9th win of the season, setting up big final 2 games with Georgia and Alabama. We were at the game. Kind of what were some things you saw from the victory last week?
Well, it was interesting that Auburn decided to come out firing. They threw 4 straight passes to start the game, and then I think they threw 4 more for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Tigers just say, we're going to run the ball against the league's worst run defense, and it worked. Nick Marshall had a career day on the ground, picked up SEC Offensive Player of the Week again this time, barely throwing any passes. He had 1 touchdown pass, a very good touchdown pass to C.J. Uzomah early in the game. But other than that, Auburn just ran the ball, and Tennessee just couldn't stop them. Defensively, Auburn had a big turnaround in the second half. They gave up a lot of first half points against Tennessee, but they locked down. They got good pressure on a true freshman quarterback, only making his second start. So, all in all, it was a pretty good game. It was improvement from the trip to Arkansas. I think that's what Auburn needed heading into Georgia and Alabama.
I think it's interesting because it wasn't that long ago we were talking about the Ole Miss game that Auburn didn't have an offensive identity. Well, they have one now. They run the football. I do think throwing the ball they're going to have to do just a little bit better here down the stretch. Yeah. But I think it's not that they're bad at throwing the ball; they just haven't had to.
No, I mean if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just keep running the ball. And that's what Malzahn always says. They're a run-first team, and when you're the 4th best rushing offense in the country, and the 3 ahead of you are Oregon and a couple of triple option teams, it's very impressive for the Tigers.
Very impressive. We have an issue coming out this week, and we have Auburn had a very big game with special teams last week, and we've got a write-up on that. We also have a write-up on the women's basketball team. They got a lot of young players, and they actually. They have a game, and we'll have full coverage of that. Men's basketball will also have a game Friday night. We'll have full coverage of that. And then game day's back this week for the final 2 games of the regular season.
Yep, we got a good game day issue coming out this week. Have a lot of good stuff. It's 16 pages this week, a little bit bigger than what we've had in weeks past. Some good stuff. We got some history of the Deep South Oldest rivalry. We got a story on AUHD. A little behind-the-scenes work with them as they make the pregame videos. Alex Kozan, freshman focus, senior spotlight on Chris Davis. A lot of good stuff. A really good story on Nick Marshall and his journey from being a Georgia cornerback to now a starting quarterback at Auburn, playing his old team this weekend.
That'll be a big thing. He is playing his home team. Georgia's coming to town this week. What are some things you think the Tigers are going to need to do to pull off a victory and set up a very big Iron Bowl?
See, I think that Auburn's a better team than Georgia at this point in the season. Georgia's still very banged up. They've got Todd Gurley back, and they have Aaron Murray still, the SEC's leader in touchdowns now at quarterback, and he's always trouble for Auburn every year they've played him. I think we talked about, it's going to be funny to say this because we talked about how much Auburn needs to run the ball. Georgia's secondary is a little undermanned right now. They've been banged up, and I think you'll see Auburn take some more shots down the field. Sammy Coates continues to be a reliable weapon down the field, and get Marshall some time to throw the ball as much as he wants to run the ball. And I think it'll be more of a balanced look from Auburn offensively. Defensively, they're going to have a tough test. This is a very good offense, and I think playing in Jordan-Hare Stadium is going to be a big difference in this one. I think Auburn pulls away in the 4th quarter. I know I've said that the last few weeks, and the games haven't turned out like that. But I really think Georgia's going to be a very big threat to Auburn this week, and I know the team's focused on getting this big victory, but they're taking it one game at a time, and Georgia's the most important thing this week.
Well, Gurley, he's not back to 100%, but he's producing, which is helping Murray get a little bit better. So I think Murray will be a big test this week. I mean, he's always given Auburn a little bit of trouble.
His receivers, he doesn't have his full complement of receivers like he usually has, and that might affect him a little bit, but he's still one of the most talented quarterbacks in recent years in the SEC. And Auburn's defense, it's been bend, don't break. Let's see how the Tigers will pull off against a team that with Gurley, and I know Gurley's not 100%, like you said. With Gurley, he's a threat every time he touches the ball to take it in for 6. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays. And like I said, I think Auburn pulls out a really close game, but it should be a very interesting game.
I think it will be too, and the biggest difference between the past couple of games against Georgia is Auburn, I think, has the offense to keep up with a high-scoring Georgia offense. So I think that's a big difference. But like you said, I think the defense, they give up yards, but they keep them out of the end zone. And I think if they do that, I actually think Auburn kind of pulls away late. I think Auburn's got better depth, and I think Auburn, with the home crowd, I think they know what's at stake, and they're going to want to go into that Iron Bowl with one loss.
Yeah, and then, it sets up the SEC West Championship,
Mm-hmm.
and, it's going to be such a huge game for Auburn. But first things first, you got to beat Georgia, a team you've struggled with in recent years. So, it should be a really great game. National TV audience, should be a sellout crowd always when Georgia comes to town. So, really excited to see this one this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Well, make sure y'all follow us Saturday with full coverage from Jordan-Hare Stadium. We'll be on Twitter. We'll have stories after the game with quotes. So make sure you check that out, and we'll see you next week.